The Iranian response hasn't started yet. Everything you've seen today, dear viewers, is just the beginning, just testing the waters. Early warning, attempts to test the American air defense systems, but the real response hasn't started yet. This war is nothing like previous wars at all. Today, we are entering a new phase, a phase of total war, a war for survival, a war that will completely change the map of the Middle East. How is that? That's what we'll be talking about today in this episode. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you. Welcome to a new episode, God willing, of the Opinion series. So finally, dear viewers, President Trump gives in to Israeli demands and comes out with this shocking decision, marking the beginning of the joint attack, the American-Israeli attack on Iran, and thus the start of the major war in the Middle East. More than 30 targets were bombed this morning in the first strike by the American and Israeli air forces. Among these targets were the residence of the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, the residence of Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, as well as the headquarters of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Intelligence, and so on, including a number of other headquarters. The attack, according to official Israeli statements, was clearly aimed at bombing and eliminating the top political and military leaders all at once in a single strike. But it's also clear that this attack was not successful. It was a complete failure in eliminating all these Iranian leaders, for a number of reasons which I will talk about today. The first, for example, is that they were not actually present in the headquarters that were targeted. Iranian sources indicate, for example, that the Supreme Leader is outside Tehran in a secret hideout, just as the Iranian president is also in another hideout. And so, there were preparations. All the Iranian military and political leaders, the top commanders, are now spread out in a number of secret locations. And this failure that happened in this operation is what made the United States come out today with statements that contradict what was said in Israel. The United States said that it did not target the Iranian leaders at all. It said that it only targeted military installations. So, while in Israel they say that all the objectives of the operation in Iran were achieved and that they were targeting the Iranian political and military leaders, the United States says the opposite. It says that it never targeted these leaders, but only targeted military installations. And this raises the question, did the United States backtrack on admitting the real objective after this failure? After the failure of the operation, or at least after not being sure up to this moment whether the operation succeeded, this question remains open. It is also noticeable that the Americans and Israelis this time raised the bar for the objective of this operation to a very dangerous level, which could be considered a gamble, because now they are not only talking about preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, or about neutralizing Iran's missile capabilities. Today they are talking about neutralizing the Iranian regime itself. Regime change in Iran, this was never previously the highest possible objective. In any war or any military operation, launching such an action means toppling the regime. Therefore, this raises the question, what if Trump does not succeed in achieving this goal? What will America's image and Trump's image look like during the upcoming elections if he fails to achieve this goal? Netanyahu worked in Gaza, aiming to neutralize the resistance there, but he did not succeed, even though the war lasted for more than 2 years. So how can they change the regime in Iran today? And today, Iran is prepared on all levels and has appointed successors for all political and military leaders in case they are assassinated. Therefore, we are now entering a new phase, entering a new quagmire in which Israel has become entangled and has dragged Trump and America into it as well. And this gives the impression that this war will truly be a long war of attrition, which perhaps all the countries in the region will suffer from without exception. It is also noticeable today that this time the American and Israeli attack was carried out without penetrating Iranian airspace. It was done with Tomahawk missiles, which are American cruise missiles, and with fighter jets, but these jets did not enter Iranian airspace. And this also raises a very important question today. What prevented these American and Israeli jets from penetrating Iranian airspace? Just like what happened in the recent 12-day war when these American and Israeli jets were involved. They used to roam the skies of Iran as they pleased. What has changed today? Despite the presence of dozens of jamming aircraft, despite the presence of dozens of electronic warfare planes, and the stealth F-35 jets, and for the first time ever, as we mentioned in the previous episode, the stealth F-22 jets. America claims that these jets have extraordinary capabilities, with very high stealth abilities against radars, and so on. What has changed today? It's certain that there is American fear. Definitely there is caution. There is extreme restraint, a very high level of American caution. This happened out of fear that Iran might have actually acquired Chinese-made radars or air defense systems. It happened out of fear. Just a few days ago, there were a number of reports talking about this. They talked about the arrival of dozens of Chinese military cargo planes in Iran. There are also reports talking about the arrival of military reinforcements, including advanced Chinese radars capable of detecting stealth aircraft. The fact that the Iranian airspace was not breached gives a real and realistic impression, either because American intelligence confirmed the accuracy of this news and therefore was unable to breach Iranian airspace, for fear that one of these aircraft might be shot down, or because they are not sure about this news. And they are avoiding the possibility that Iran might have a surprise in this regard, because if one of these American aircraft was shot down, it would be a disaster. A painful blow to America and to Trump personally. And let's not forget as well the Russian-made shoulder-fired defense systems, the Verba system, as a number of news reports have also recently indicated in the past few days that there was an Iranian-Russian deal involving a large number of these systems. So the important thing is that there is extreme caution. There was in this operation a fear of American aircraft being tested by these Russian and Chinese systems. It is also noticeable today, and if we talk about this Iranian response, Iran up to this moment has indeed responded with missile strikes on Israel and missile strikes on all the military bases in the region. In Qatar, in the UAE, in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Jordan, all these countries were subjected to Iranian strikes. But what's noticeable up to this moment is that Iran has not yet used hypersonic missiles, and it has not yet targeted American military ships, and it has not yet played the card of closing the Strait of Hormuz, nor has it used its proxies in the region yet. Up to this moment, up to the airing of this episode. For days now, Iran has been threatening that it will respond with all these means, that there will be a full-scale war, and that it will close the Strait of Hormuz, and so on. Even right after this military strike, the head of the National Security Committee in the Iranian parliament, Ibrahim Azizi, came out and said it very clearly. We warned you, so now wait for the response. Meaning, the response you are seeing now is not the real response yet. He said, wait for the response. Up to the time this episode is airing, that response has not started yet. For example, these hypersonic missiles have not been used yet. What you saw today was only with conventional ballistic missiles, and they were intercepted by the air defense systems of all the countries in the region. We saw how these missiles were shot down in Qatar, and maybe in Jordan, and a group in Israel, but even so, we still saw some of these missiles. They managed to penetrate these defense systems and hit the target accurately. So the question is, what if this entire attack was with hypersonic missiles? Are we talking about conventional missiles now? So what if it was with hypersonic missiles? This huge number of missiles that, of course, it's impossible to intercept with these defense systems. So the war is a long one. and a war that must be managed in smart ways, because right now we're still at the beginning of this war. And America and Israel, for sure, after they carried out this attack, they were waiting for the Iranian response, and they were prepared for this Iranian response. Waiting for the Iranian response means maybe we're talking about preparing to evacuate these military bases, to hide in shelters and so on. Iran knows all of this. So, whatever you do, today you only strike with conventional ballistic missiles. You exhaust the defensive capabilities. You deplete the defensive missiles of America and Israel. You create fear. The panic continues non-stop among the ranks. And at the same time, you test the air defense systems and gauge the reaction of the international community and the countries in the region to this bombardment. The thing that everyone needs to know is that there is an information war, there is another psychological war being waged with the same importance as the military war. So the real Iranian response hasn't started yet. The real test will be with the hypersonic missiles that will come then. When Iran sees that the time has come for that, that's it. On the other hand, we also see that Iran's proxies in the region haven't moved yet. There are only threats, and there are leaks confirming the orders they received in the region. It's just preparation for a long-term war of attrition, and preparation for 0 hour, and no one knows when this 0 hour will begin. This is what makes the aggressor wait for it anxiously, thinking 1,000 times about when it will start and how it will be. It means he lives in psychological terror before anything else. And here we are talking about this response that will have a very significant impact on a number of areas. For example, the Iraqi Hezbollah brigade said they will start responding soon. There's also the Sana government in Yemen, which said they will enter this war tonight. But when? Meanwhile, there is a remarkable silence in Lebanon. No one knows whether this Lebanese party will also join this war or not. There is a very high possibility that there will be a full-scale war. All the proxies will get involved in this war. And let's not forget the Strait of Hormuz card. Until now, it hasn't been closed yet. This card hasn't been used. So, for sure, there are things happening behind the scenes, things going on right now behind the curtain. It's certain that it will definitely be closed, but at the right time. There is a real and surprising response that Iran is preparing today. These events and developments are happening very quickly, and the real Iranian response might come in the next few hours, maybe even now, during the airing of this episode. But what exactly will it be like? This is the surprise. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Goodbye. See you next time.